The first phase of the Peloponnesian War was the Archidamian War, which lasted from 431 to 421 BC. It began when Sparta and their allies, the Peloponnesian League, declared war on the Delian League. The Peloponnesian League consisted of Sparta, Corinth, Tegea, Sicyon, Epidaurus, Phalanx, Halius, Megara, Aegina, Trozen, Hermione, Elis, Mantinea, and Orchomenus, Mycenae, Tiryns, the Boeotian League, the Phaeacian League, the Eastern Locrians, and Pellene. The Delian League, which was basically an Athenian-led empire, consisted of Athens, Euboea, the Cyclades, Imbros, Myrina, Lemnos, Aeolus, and all the Ionian Greek cities of Anatolia. Sparta cited Athens' oppression and hegemony over their Greek brothers as the reason for the conflict. This was a reasonable statement for Sparta, as Athens had turned the Delian League into their empire. The League was founded in 478 BC, with around 330 Greek states, including both Sparta and Athens, to fight against Persia. When the war ended, many states left, but those who remained were slowly forced under Athenian rule, and basically became vassals of Athens by the time the Peloponnesian War broke out. Athens had used the League's funds to build up their city, and members outside of Athens paid heavy taxes. Some members had previously tried to leave, but were militarily forced to stay by Athens. To win the war, Sparta needed Athens to surrender some of its allies and give up many of their overseas holdings, while Athens simply needed to outlast the Spartan attacks. Sparta was led by their king, Archidamian II, while Athens was led by their strategos, Pericles. When the war broke out, Sparta was not in a strong position, so they requested aid from Persia. Theodore Siculus wrote, "Now the causes of the Peloponnesian War were in general what I have described, as Zephyrus has recorded them. And when the leading states had become embroiled in a war in this fashion, the Lacedaemonians, the Spartans, sitting in council with the Peloponnesians, voted to make war upon the Athenians, and dispatching ambassadors to the king of the Persians, urged him to ally himself with them, while they also treated by means of ambassadors with their allies in Sicily and Italy, and persuaded them to come to their aid with 200 triremes. Clearly, Sparta was not as strong as the rest of Greece had assumed them to be. Archidamus began his invasion of Attica in 431, but he found no resistance from Athens. Pericles had devised a strategy where Athens would not fight Sparta on land. He brought all of Athens' population in Attica inside the walls of Athens itself. He resigned their homes and farms of his people to Sparta, which angered many of the plebs for just cause. Athens was defended by their long walls, which ran from Athens to the port city of Piraeus. Athens continued to be supplied by sea, as their navy was the strongest in the world. Additionally, they'd be able to attack Sparta and their allies by sea if needed. Following the Spartan attacks, Pericles sent Phormio, an Athenian admiral, to destroy Sparta's navy, which he did. Later in 431, Pericles led an invasion of Megara, which was successful. A few months later, he gave one of history's greatest speeches, his funeral oration. This speech urged on Athens and increased the war's support. The following year, Archidamus raided Attica once again, so Pericles sent 100 ships out to raid the Peloponnesian coast. In the fall of 430, the Athenian plague came about and decimated the city. Almost 2/3 of the people died, and the mercenaries refused to work for Athens. By the end of the year, Pericles was voted out as the people were unhappy with his unorthodox approach to the war. He was replaced by incompetent leaders, so within a year, by 429, he was voted back into office as the strategos of Athens. The people completely forgave him and apologized for their previous mistake. Earlier in the year, Paralus and Xanthippus, the true-born sons of Pericles, had died from the plague, which devastated him, and a few months later, Pericles followed them on to the next life. Following Pericles' death, Athens had a brief period of political instability, which gave Sparta time to capture Plataea. Eventually, Cleon was able to establish himself as the head of Athens. They took a far more direct approach to the war than Pericles had. In 427, the island of Lesbos revolted from Athens, believing them to be on the brink of collapse. This, however, could not have been farther from the truth, as Athens brutally crushed the revolt and stretched their military presence in Boeotia and Aetolia. They crushed the Mytilean revolt and began building forts around the Peloponnese. One of these forts was near Pylos, on a tiny island called Sphacteria, which began to attract runaway slaves from Sparta. In response, Sparta attacked the fort, which led to the Battle of Pylos in 425. Demosthenes, the Athenian general, outmaneuvered the Spartans and trapped them on Sphacteria as he waited for them to surrender. As time rolled on, they refused to surrender. Instead, Cleon boasted in the assembly that he could finish the battle and sailed to Sphacteria, where he was able to easily finish off the Spartans and took 300 of them back to Athens as prisoners. The shock defeat tarnished the Spartans and their reputation as invincible warriors was crushed. Cleon jailed the hostages in Athens and resolved to execute them if a Peloponnesian army invaded Attica again. This prevented Sparta from invading Attica, but as they had captured Plataea, they controlled the path to Thebes and the north of Greece. The Spartan general Brasidas raised an army of allies and helots and marched the length of Greece through Plataea to an Athenian colony of Amphipolis in Thrace. Amphipolis was vital for Athens as it controlled the nearby silver mines, who supplied much of the Athenian war funds. When word reached Athens of Brasidas' march, they sent Thucydides, who was located in Thasos, to reinforce the city. He arrived there too late, as Brasidas had offered favorable peace terms to the town, so they surrendered quickly before Thucydides could arrive. He was forced to flee to Athens, where he was tried for his failure and exiled from the city. He would never lead Athens in any military conflict again. In 423, both sides signed an armistice lasting 1 year. Athens began fortifying towns to prevent further invasions, while Sparta had hoped Athens would return the prisoners to them. While the negotiations were going on, Brasidas had captured Scione and refused to give it back when the news of the treaty arrived. In 422, Cleon arrived in Thrace with a force of 30 ships, around 1,200 hoplites, and 300 cavalry to retake Amphipolis. He quickly retook Torone and Scione. At Scione, the Spartan commander, Pasatilidas, was killed. Eventually, Cleon made his way to Amphipolis for the final battle of the Archidamian War. Brasidas had around 2,000 hoplites and 300 cavalry to fight. And he was able to crush Cleon's force. Over 600 Athenians were slain to Sparta's 7. But both Cleon and Brasidas, the driving forces for the conflict, died in the battle. Following the battle, in 421, both sides signed the Peace of Nicaeus. Athens and Sparta agreed to exchange the cities captured by Brasidas for the Spartan hostages. This was only the first part of the Peloponnesian War, so make sure to look out for the rest of the wars to come in the following weeks. Make sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.